in the first briefings of the National Security Council, the CIA director going in with an aide, a colonel with him with charts and maps, was saying, "Gentlemen, this is a map of Africa, and here is Angola. In Angola, there are 3 liberation movements. There's the FNLA, headed by Roland Roberto. They're the good guys. We've dealt with him for some time. There's the MPLA, headed by Agostinho Neto, who's a drunken, psychotic poet with a Marxist background. They're the bad guys." And they used exactly that terminology, the good guys and the bad guys, so these people on the National Security Council could get it straight what the game was.
There's no way that the MPLA government can survive without Soviet hardware and Cuban manpower. This means that the Soviets can use Angola in a number of different ways. It gives them a client that cannot say no.
What I don't think many Cubans foresaw, including Fidel Castro, was that this involvement in Angola would be prolonged, that from this initial war, quote, war of national liberation, it became a war of occupation 10, 11 years later. That the Cubans are themselves involved in a quagmire, much like the United States was in a quagmire in Vietnam.
In the southwest section of Africa lies Angola. From 1600 to 1975, it was the pearl of the Portuguese colonial empire. Beneath its soil lie the riches of King Solomon's mines, diamonds, gold, and platinum. But its soil is drenched in blood, for Angola is a land at war, the longest civil war in Africa. This once fertile land has become impoverished. It's a land of death, disease, and starvation. It's also been the focus of a superpower confrontation in southern Africa. Tonight you'll meet those responsible for Angola's tragedy and those who claim to offer hope for its future. You will meet Juan Benamelis, a Cuban defector who specialized in subversion in Africa, John Stockwell, head of the CIA's Angolan task force, Jonas Savimbi, the guerrilla leader of UNITA, Angola's resistance movement, and the Red Admiral, Rosa Coutinho, the Portuguese official who orchestrated 15 years of bloody civil war.
Well, I must say that in Angola, I started what we could call the decolonization process, because this started only when I arrived there. And, well, I had this kind of job just during 6 months. But I think that I fixed the decolonization process in an irreversible way.
Appointed High Commissioner of the colony in 1975, Admiral Rosa Coutinho was the most powerful man in Angola. We found him in the Portuguese capital of Lisbon. After 10 years of silence, Rosa Coutinho finally agreed to an interview.
Well, I was, first of all, head of all military forces. I was the commander-in-chief. Second, I was the executive, the head of the administrative branch, let's say, I had a government, I formed the government, and I directed the government.
You had lots of influence.
Certainly I had the influence and I exerted it.
Yeah, you exercised it.
Yes, I am not platonic.
In 1974, Angola was promised independence. Rosa Coutinho was in charge of negotiations. Portugal fought a long, brutal war in an attempt to retain its resource-rich colony. For 10 years, 3 competing guerrilla movements opposed the Portuguese. The Soviet-supported MPLA, headed by Agostinho Neto, the FNLA, headed by Holden Roberto and backed by the United States, and UNITA, headed by Jonas Savimbi. Rosa Coutinho favored the MPLA and devised a scheme to put them in power. All 3 guerrilla leaders were invited to Alvor in Portugal. Each agreed to democratic elections under Portuguese supervision, and to great acclaim, the Alvor Agreement was heralded as the cornerstone of Angola's future. But Alvor was a fraud. The elections were never meant to take place.
And I knew very well that elections could not be held on the territory during the time that lapsed, because Angola was still in a kind of turmoil. And if elections would be held, it will be a fantasy. I have stated that at that time, the only solution was to recognize the MPLA was the only force capable of directing Angola. And the Portugal should make a separate agreement with MPLA and transfer the power to MPLA on the fixed date of 11 November.
Before the MPLA could consolidate power, an election in